The last memory of my life was the searing pain of a bullet tearing through flesh. In a New York City penthouse, through a shattered floor-to-ceiling window, I watched my business empire crumble before my eyes. My fiancé, Julian, and my half-brother Leo, the two men I trusted most, were the architects of my destruction. They were convinced that I, Victoria Blackwood, had spent years bullying the pure, innocent white lotus of their hearts, Lily. At the celebratory dinner for our company merger, they exposed my crimes, in front of all the business elites and the media. She's a ruthless devil who would trample over anyone to get ahead. Julian's voice was cold and merciless, the same voice that had whispered words of love in my ear countless times. Before the cameras, live streaming to the world, Lily's eyes shimmered with tears, yet she wore a victor smile. "It's okay, Victoria. I've already forgiven you. After all, we've both moved on from that dark past." That night, she became a symbol of courage and forgiveness, an overnight sensation. And I, once the queen of the business world, plummeted to become a universally condemned bully. My company's stock plummeted, partners terminated their contracts, and extremist anti-fans sent me death threats online. In the end, during a frantic car chase, my car was rammed off a cliff, and I died along with the crazed fan of Lily's who was driving the other vehicle. But now I've opened my eyes again. The scene before me is so familiar, yet so foreign, leaving me dazed for a moment. Until I see Lily in the distance, 10 years younger. She's in a plain waitress uniform, secretly pouring a glass of red wine onto her own white shirt. As the stain spreads, she looks at me with a calculated smile and asks, "Who do you think Julian will believe? Me or you?" I realize it instantly. I'm back. 10 years in the past. Back at the starting point of this whole tragedy, the charity gala where I was first accused of bullying her. Seeing me frozen in place, Lily's smile widens. "Have you figured out how you're going to apologize to me, Miss High and Mighty Blackwood?" Old grievances and new hatred erupt like a volcano in my chest. I lunge forward, grab her wrist, and drag her into the nearby utility closet. Amidst her terrified screams, I slam her hard against the wall. "You think a little red wine stain is enough to frame me? Come on, let me personally teach you the real rules of the game." Lily struggles, frantically, but her meager strength is nothing against the hatred I've carried for 10 years, a hatred forged in the crucible of life and death. She can only stare at me in terror, muttering indistinct threats. "Victoria, let me go. Julian will never forgive you for this." I throw my head back and laugh, a sound filled with endless madness and glee. "Before you go crying to him, you'd better clean up that pathetic face of yours. After all, the game has only just begun. Whether this is a new life or a dying illusion, it doesn't matter. I, Victoria Blackwood, am going to go completely wild this time. In my past life, I died at the pinnacle of my success. That day, the parent company of Victoria's Secret, the beauty brand I founded, was holding a grand merger celebration dinner with the Julian family's media conglomerate. I was wearing a one-of-a-kind haute couture gown, standing in the spotlight with my childhood sweetheart and fiancé, Julian, as the whole world watched. Then, in front of everyone, he announced, "I will never spend the rest of my life with a vicious woman who bullied her classmates in college." As I stared in disbelief, Lily slowly emerged from the crowd. There were tears in her eyes, but a victorious smile was on her face. "Victoria, remember me? I'm Lily, the girl whose entire college life you ruined. You probably never thought that one day I'd be standing on equal footing with you. But it's okay. I don't blame you anymore. Looking back, it's all water under the bridge." Broadcast live across the internet, she became an overnight symbol of resilience, forgiveness, and the ultimate comeback story, going instantly viral. Before I could react, reporters prearranged by my brother, Leo, and Julian swarmed in like hungry wolves and surrounded me. "Miss Blackwood, is it true you still lord it over your subordinates and engage in workplace bullying? Not long ago, you were photographed going in and out of a therapist's office. Is it because your chaotic personal life has caused you psychological problems?" An extremist crusader rushed out from the crowd and hurled a bottle filled with an unknown liquid at my face. "You bitch, go to hell." The liquid splashed onto my skin, bringing an intense, burning pain. My world instantly went blurry. From heaven to hell, in a single instant. My thoughts returned to the present, and I released my grip. I watched as Lily crumpled to the floor, her face, usually a mask of innocent purity, now twisted in terror and disarray. I couldn't help but laugh. Go on, cry. Scream. Go tell the whole world I bullied you looking just like that. I leaned down, my voice dripping with malice. The searing pain of the acid burns from my past life flashed through my mind. I lifted my foot and brought the heel of my stiletto down hard on the back of her hand. Once that was done, I turned and elegantly walked out of the utility closet. Outside the ballroom, my assistant and friend, Emily, was waiting for me. Victoria, the cocktail party is almost over. What were you doing in there? Oh, just teaching a new server a lesson, I replied nonchalantly. She turned to me, shocked. What? I said, Nietzsche once said, when everyone believes you're a devil, you'd better be one. Did Nietzsche really say that? It doesn't matter. As we walked back toward the ballroom, we ran right into Julian. He wasn't one of the hosts for the evening's gala, but everyone in New York knew he was my, Victoria Blackwood's, childhood sweetheart and current boyfriend. Julian's gaze passed over my shoulder, a barely perceptible flicker of inquiry in his eyes as he looked behind me. Darling, what took you so long? By the way, I hear they have a new batch of interns. In my past life, whenever Lily ran crying to him that I'd bullied her, Julian would always tell me to be the bigger person, to apologize to her and let it go. He made it seem like he was defending me, but with just a few words, he would cement my guilt and paint me as the bully. At the thought, I raised my hand without warning and gave him a resounding slap. Beside me, Emily's jaw dropped in shock yet again. Julian, however, showed only a flicker of astonishment before his usual suave composure returned. There wasn't even a trace of anger in his expression. His eyes went cold for a split second, and then, as if nothing had happened, he leaned in affectionately, about to nuzzle his cheek against mine. What's wrong, my love? Who upset you? In my past life, I didn't know until after I died. Julian was abandoned by his mother as a child and endured a dark time in an orphanage. There, he met a little girl who was like a ray of sunshine. That girl shared her only piece of chocolate with him and became the only light in his life. That light was Lily. And on the very first day Lily appeared before us as an intern, Julian recognized her. He wholeheartedly believed Lily's stories of how I bullied her, and he hated me to the bone. But held back by his status as an illegitimate son, he had to swallow his pride and curry favor with me to secure his footing in the family, using me to consolidate his position. He needed to marry me to gain the support of the Blackwood family. At this thought, I spoke coldly. Let's break up. His pupils contracted sharply. Why? Give me a reason, Victoria. I pulled out a tissue and began to scrub at the cheek he had touched, again and again, as if it were contaminated with a deadly virus. I don't want to date the son of a prostitute. You're filthy. Is that reason enough? After leaving the banquet hall, Emily carefully asked if something was wrong. I wasn't surprised at all, because in college, I loved Julian so openly and passionately. For him, I gave up my chance to study at Oxford and stayed in New York. To suit his tastes, I gave up my passion for equestrianism to study boring finance. The whole world knew of my love, but not anymore. That naive, passionate Victoria who loved Julian with her whole heart is dead. The one standing here now has been reborn from the ashes, returned from hell itself. For some time after that, Lily didn't show her face again. I knew her greatest skill was leveraging that pitiful, innocent face of hers, along with some fabricated sob story. She wouldn't make a move unless she could maximize those assets of hers. I waited patiently. Soon enough, it was my brother Leo's 30th birthday party. The Blackwood family always made a big deal of birthdays, and since Leo was the future heir, his party was of course a grand affair. The light from the crystal chandeliers was dazzling. Dressed in a black couture gown, I slowly descended the winding staircase. From across the room I saw Leo. He stood there in an impeccably tailored suit, fixing me with that usual cold, indifferent gaze of his. "Victoria!" he commanded. "Come here." I smiled and walked toward him, pretending not to see the two people behind him, Julian, with a conflicted look in his eyes, and Lily, her eyes red-rimmed and brimming with tears. I gave him a sweet smile. "What is it, brother? Do you have a surprise for me?" Leo stared at me coldly for a moment before he spoke. "Bullying the weak, insulting your friends. Victoria, is this how the Blackwoods raised you?" He made no effort to keep his voice down, and in an instant, all eyes in the room turned to us. "What are you talking about, brother? I don't understand." I glanced at Lily and tilted my head. Who did I insult? And when did I ever bully the weak? I don't even know this young lady. It's too late to play dumb. When you do something wrong, you have to face the consequences. Leo's voice was heavy with an authority that left no room for argument. "Father isn't here today. As your brother, it's my responsibility to discipline you." As he said this, he took a riding crop, a symbol of family authority, from the hands of a nearby butler. His eyes locked on mine, and he spoke, his voice stern and deliberate. "Kneel and apologize." In the vast banquet hall, countless pairs of eyes turned toward me, eager for a show. Good heavens, bullying? The eldest daughter of the Blackwood family would do something like that. Well, she's spoiled. It's only natural she can't stand to see someone else outshine her. It's a good thing her brother is so sensible. He doesn't just blindly defend her. He's truly the hope of the family. Beneath Lily's smug and defiant gaze, I straightened my spine. The smile on my face grew even more brilliant, but every word I spoke was a dagger. "Brother, what on earth are you talking about? Anyone who didn't know better would think you've been possessed by some medieval ghost. In this life, I kneel only to God and my ancestors." I tilted my head, looking him up and down, and let out a vicious laugh. "How about this? You jump off that balcony right now, and I'll immediately get on my knees, present you with a bouquet of flowers, and see you on your way." Leo's face instantly turned as black as thunder. Behind him, Lily spoke up, her voice dripping with false concern. "Miss Victoria, I know you don't like me, but it's one thing to come after me. How can you say such vicious things to your own brother?" Her eyes widened, tears welling at the corners as she deliberately put on an expression of pure, fragile innocence. Julian, standing off to the side, saw this, and an unreadable shadow flickered in his eyes. Then he spoke in a low voice. "Victoria, if you've done something wrong, just admit it and apologize. There's no need to." I mimicked Lily's act, widening my own eyes in feigned distress. "I'm sorry, I don't understand, dog. Could you please repeat that in a human language?" "Enough!" Leo snapped. "Victoria, as a young woman, do you have any sense of shame? Who taught you to be so foul-mouthed and uncivilized?" He was just like he'd been in my past life. No matter what I said, he would never believe me. He would only, with his deep-seated prejudice, crucify me again and again. The corner of my mouth twitched into a cold smile, mimicking his own. "Father is too busy with corporate affairs to have time for me. So, you tell me, who do you think taught me?" "Why, it was you, of course. My dearest brother." In my past life, I both respected and feared Leo. He was several years older than me, and in my heart, he was always a stern, unapproachable older brother. When we were children, my father was busy with his company, so Leo was the one in charge of disciplining me. If I made the slightest mistake, he would strike my palms with a ruler and forbid me from eating. I once brought home a stray puppy from the shelter, but he had the butler lock me outside. It's filthy. The Blackwood family has no place for things like that. Helpless, I clutched the puppy and sat on our front steps all night. Back then, I was too young and always assumed he was just cold by nature, that he didn't know how to be gentle with his sister like other brothers were. Until Lily appeared, that's when I discovered that my brother wasn't incapable of gentleness. It was just that I was never the one he was gentle with. I saw him personally drive to pick Lily up from her part-time job at a restaurant, handing her a warm milk and ruffling her hair as he said, "Make sure you eat on time. Tell me if you need money." I also saw Lily pick up a scrawny stray cat in the rain while he held an umbrella over her, asking softly, "Do you want to keep it?" When Lily got drunk, she would tug on the corner of his shirt and babble nonsense, and he would listen patiently, his eyes full of adoration and tenderness. In my past life, I was trapped in a lie about love. I was lost, wondering why my brother didn't love me, why my fiancé didn't believe me. It wasn't until I was reborn that I finally had an awakening. I, Victoria Blackwood, am a complete and independent person. I can live without their love. In fact, I'll live even better. The birthday party came to an abrupt end because of my confrontation with Rio and my refusal to back down. Father rushed home after receiving a call from the butler. He politely saw all the guests out. Lily tried to pull her old tricks in front of Father, to continue playing her weak and pitiful character, but he stopped her with a single, stern look. "Young lady, this is a Blackwood family matter. We will handle it ourselves. Please leave now." Lily's face stiffened, and tears welled in her eyes. She shot Rio a pleading look before reluctantly turning to leave. When only the three of us were left, Father finally spoke, his face stern. "All right, now tell me what this is all about." Before Rio could say a word, I jumped in. A while ago at a charity gala, there was a new intern. On her very first day, she deliberately spilled red wine on herself and then insisted I had pushed her, accusing me of bullying. I only found out later that this person was the underprivileged student you've been sponsoring, brother. Her name is Lily. Sitting on the sofa, Rio's head snapped up to look at me, his eyes wide with shock. Asterisk shocked, aren't you, brother? That I discover the secret of your little affair so soon. Asterisk. Pressing the reddened corners of my eyes, I spoke in a choked voice. I don't actually blame her. It was just a party. I'm just hurt that you, my own brother, would never believe me. Lily wasn't the only one in the world who knew how to play the innocent victim. Amid my tearful accusations, Father laid down the law. Enough. I don't care whose fault it is. This ends now. If this blows up and word gets out, it will damage the Blackwood family's reputation. This matter is over. When I got back to college, I started openly bullying Lily. I'd accidentally spill coffee on a paper she'd worked so hard to finish. When she gave a class presentation in her heavily accented English, I'd let out a quiet but audible scoff. I tore her scholarship application to shreds and showered the pieces down in front of her. Go on, go tell on me again, I said with a smile. Isn't that what you're best at? A piece of shredded paper drifted slowly from her hair. She looked at me, a flash of bone-deep hatred in her eyes. But in the end, she just trembled all over, apologizing to me through her tears. I'm sorry, Miss Victoria. If I did something to make you unhappy, I'm apologizing now. I'll change right away, okay? Your very existence makes me unhappy, I said, raising an eyebrow curiously. How do you plan to fix that? Are you going to jump from here right now? She gaped at me, speechless, unable to utter a single word. In the end, all she could do was resort to tears to win sympathy. For the first time, I discovered just how exhilarating it was to be the villainess. Of course, she reported me to the school counselor. The counselor called me into her office. Crying, I gave her a heavily embellished account of what happened at Leo's birthday party, and for the finale, I pulled out a diagnosis from a mental health clinic. That day, because of the rumors she spread, my brother humiliated me in front of so many people. I have nightmares every night, dreaming that everyone is blaming me. I'm still in therapy and have to take medication just to fall asleep. The doctor says I have severe depression. In the end, the counselor didn't reprimand me at all. Instead, she ended up comforting me. Everyone could see I didn't like Lily. Emily asked me, completely confused, "Why are you targeting her like this? What did she ever really do to you?" I tilted my head back and smiled at her. Couldn't it just be because I'm a spoiled rich girl who likes to use her family's money to look down on the new girl from a poor family? Don't give me that. She rolled her eyes at me. If you were really that kind of person, why don't you bully me? My family's way poorer than hers. On the very first day we met, you gave me that out-of-print fashion magazine. It'd be easier to believe I'm the Queen of England than to believe you're a bully. I'm smart enough to figure that much out. Yeah, it's simple logic, something anyone should understand. And yet, the two people who don't are my own brother and the man I love. The corners of my mouth lifted, but there wasn't a trace of a smile in my eyes. Our university's centennial celebration was just a month away. In my past life, thanks to Leo and Julian's meticulous planning, Lily performed a piano solo at the centennial gala. Her performance caught the eye of an admissions officer from an Ivy League school who was in attendance, and she secured the sole special recruitment slot. As for me, I had been studying ballet since I was 4, for over a decade, and I had also prepared a classical dance piece. But then, Julian found me. He wrapped his arms around me on campus as the sun was setting and murmured, "Could you not perform? My love, I don't want so many people to see how beautiful you are. I'll get jealous. Just dance for me, and me alone." Okay. Back then, I was such a hopeless fool. I was even pleased with myself, thinking it was a sign of how much he cared for me. So, on the day of the performance, I didn't go. Instead, I danced for him, and him alone, over and over again in the empty studio. As my dance ended, a wave of thunderous applause roared from the auditorium in the distance. Julian heard it and suddenly started to laugh. He was always so gentle and reserved around me. His smiles always seemed veiled, as if seen through a thin mist. It was the first time I'd ever seen him show such a strong emotional reaction. So I stopped dancing and asked naively, "Are you happy?" He paused for a moment. "I am." At the time, I still thought he was happy because I had danced for him and him alone. It wasn't until much later that I learned the truth. He was happy because Lily's performance had been a resounding success. The only light in his life now had a brilliant future ahead of her. I submitted the dance number I'd already prepared. This time, however, it wasn't a solo. I invited all the girls from the dance club who were interested in performing to rehearse a modern ballet group number with me. I paid out of my own pocket to hire a top-tier choreographer, bought the most expensive costumes, and had the most magnificent stage props custom-made. In comparison, Lily's piano solo in her simple white dress seemed plain and pathetic. I have no idea what she told Leo this time. That night, I had just gotten home when he cornered me in the garden. "Victoria," my brother said, his face expressionless. "The school anniversary performance. Drop your act." I just smiled. "Leo, what's gotten into you now?" "Don't think for a second I'm asking." A glint of cold mockery surfaced in his eyes. "If you insist on performing, you will face the consequences." I stopped in my tracks, staring into his icy eyes. "Brother, has your precious little flower studied piano for over a decade, only to have so little confidence in beating me on the same stage? You're utterly pathetic." A few days before the school anniversary performance, Julian found me. "Victoria!" He looked a little haggard. "I was wrong about what happened last time. But you've blocked me on everything and won't see me. I don't know what's going on. Is this some kind of misunderstanding? Or have you fallen for someone else?" As he said those last few words, his voice was tinged with a clear trace of pain. "But you promised me. You said you'd always love me the most." A surge of anger mixed with a sharp, stinging pain shot through my heart. For so many years, I had truly and sincerely loved him. He said he didn't like me doing kissing scenes, so I actually turned down offers from many famous directors. He said Lily had a rough background, that she was always bullied at the orphanage, and told me not to hold things against her. So I forgave her insults and provocations, again and again. All I wanted was for my sincerity to be met with sincerity. What I got in return was a decade of their slander and hatred. In that moment, I suddenly couldn't even be bothered to keep up the pretense. I reached out, grabbed Julian by the collar, and slammed him against the wall behind us. He sucked in a sharp breath from the pain, and before he could even speak, I slapped him across the face. I didn't hold back at all. A bright red welt immediately appeared on his usually pristine face. I leaned in close and said, word by word, "I already know that you and Lily knew each other a long time ago. Don't you like her? Then why are you running back to me, pretending to be so devoted? Still want to use me while you go simp for that innocent little Lily of yours? You're trash, just like that homewrecker mother of yours." As the last word left my lips, a storm brewed in his eyes, but he couldn't say another word. I scoffed, let him go, and turned to walk away. That night, I had a rare dream about what happened after I died in my past life. After I was killed in a car chase with so-called fans, plunging off a cliff to my death, Lily, who had only suffered minor injuries in the crash, was rushed to the hospital. Outside her room, Julian grabbed Leo by the collar. "You promised you'd arrange everything," he demanded. "That you'd protect her." Leo shoved his hand away and said coldly, I already agreed to share her with you. You're an illegitimate son. How could you ever control the Julian family without my help? Don't push your luck. Julian stumbled back a few steps and retorted, You? Help me? It was clearly… He cut himself off. Leo sneered. That's right. My sister helped you. But she's dead now. And weren't you the one who arranged the car chase, who manufactured the accident? Have you forgotten? Julian stood there in silence. The doors to the emergency room swung open, and Lily was wheeled out. The doctor said, The patient only has some superficial wounds. Nothing serious. Julian's gaze swept over her pale, bloodless face, and he wavered. Then he spoke calmly, I haven't forgotten. And I've never regretted it. I jolted awake from the dream and stumbled into the bathroom, where I clung to the toilet, dry heaving for a long time. When I finally straightened up, leaning on the sink, I saw my reflection in the mirror. My bloodshot eyes were filled with an overwhelming hatred. No regrets. I murmured, It doesn't matter. In this life, you will regret it. You'll regret ever being born. Just you wait. On the day of the school anniversary performance, I ran into Lily by the school's artificial lake. She was wearing a subtly luxurious silver cocktail dress with a new and clearly expensive diamond necklace around her neck. I knew full well this was probably something Leo had bought to comfort her. Victoria Blackwood, do you think your status as the eldest daughter of the Blackwood family can protect you forever? You've bullied me for so long. Did you really think I wouldn't fight back? I'll make you pay 1,000, 10,000 times over. So what if you know about Julian and me? He loves me, and your brother only loves me. Someone like you doesn't deserve anyone's love. She went on, but I just smiled and replied with a single question. Was the utility closet floor cold? Then, as the color drained from her face, I turned and walked away. At dusk, a fiery sunset spread across the horizon. The other girls from the dance team and I changed into our costumes and hurried from the dance studio to the backstage area, holding up our skirts. Halfway there, I realized the prop I'd prepared for the final curtain call was missing. Did I leave it in the dance studio? I thought back carefully and decided to go back and look for it. Emily asked, Do you want me to go with you? It's fine, it's not heavy. I can carry it myself, I said with a smile. You guys go ahead to backstage and do your makeup. Then find the stage manager and confirm the order of our props. The huge academic building was completely empty. Holding up the beautiful, gilded hem of my skirt, I took the stairs with long strides. But just as I was about to reach the floor with the dance studio, I stopped. Someone was standing on the steps, just a few feet above me. The golden red light of the sunset shone in through the window, but it only illuminated a small part of his face. Most of his face was submerged in shadow, his eyes as deep and dark as an ocean vortex. It was Julian. He spoke in a low voice, one that seemed to be holding back an impending storm. Victoria, what are you planning to do? None of your damn business. Get out of my way. I tried to push past him and continue up the stairs. Suddenly, a powerful force gripped my shoulder. My mind blanked for a second. By the time I realized what was happening, my body felt weightless as I was thrown backward. Behind me was a long flight of several dozen stairs. I landed on my back and tumbled violently down the steps. Overwhelmed by excruciating pain, I slammed into the iron railing of the staircase. A heart-splitting agony shot through my ankle, as if the bone itself were about to shatter. Julian walked down the stairs, step by step, and stopped beside me. He looked at me with those same calm, sorrowful eyes, but when he spoke, his voice was as cold as ice. Victoria, don't blame me. You've had everything since the day you were born. Even if you miss this one opportunity, you still have so many other paths you can take. But Lily isn't like you. She has already done the absolute best she can with what she has. With that, he grabbed my already sprained ankle, intending to smash my lower leg with all his might against the iron railing. The scene from my dream suddenly flashed through my mind. He was standing outside the hospital room with my brother, his gaze full of love as he watched Lily being wheeled out of the emergency room. But when he mentioned me, his voice was cold, devoid of any emotion. I've never regretted it. To think that the best 15 years of my life, my most passionate and sincere love, were all wasted on a man like that. I suddenly burst out laughing. The moment before he could slam my shin against the railing, I wrenched myself free from his grasp. Worthless! The pain from my sprained ankle made my breath catch in my throat. But before Julian could react, I lunged forward, grabbed a fistful of his hair, and slammed his head against the railing. You despicable bastard! Trying to hurt me again! In your dreams! Julian's head hit the iron railing with a sickening thud. His forehead struck a sharp corner, and crimson blood immediately gushed out, streaming down his cheek and dripping onto his white shirt. Victoria! I gasped for breath, let go of his hair, and struggled to my feet. Sharp, searing pain shot up from my sprained ankle. But it didn't matter. I looked down at his unfocused, pain-filled eyes, and slowly, a smile spread across my face. How devoted of you, my dear Julian. Willing to sacrifice yourself just to ruin me, all to secure a future for your precious little flower. So this is Leo's consequences, is it? Did you two conspire to share her this early on? Utterly repulsive. I lifted the hem of my dress and wiped his blood from it, staining the light-colored fabric with ugly splotches. Then I left him there, and as the sky began to darken, I ran limping toward the grand auditorium. From a distance, the melodious sound of a piano drifted from the auditorium. Lily was playing, just as I'd expected, the same piece from my past life, Debussy's Clair de Lune. She sat at a pure white Steinway on the stage, wearing a small silver gown. The stage around her was dark, with a single spotlight illuminating her, making her look like the only star polished bright in the night sky. Just like in my past life, when she climbed over my dead body at my company's merger celebration, she was dazzlingly beautiful. I ran down the aisle between the rows of seats. I shoved past the security guards and the host who tried to stop me and hauled myself onto the stage. Standing in that single beam of light, I kicked over Lily's piano bench and slammed my fist down on the keys. As she stared, stunned and disbelieving, I went berserk. Play! You want to play? Go on, play! You send your little lapdog after me, and you have the nerve to sit here playing your damn Clair de Lune? Of course I knew. The Ivy League admissions officer Rio had personally invited was sitting in the audience at that very moment. In my past life, after hearing Lily play Moonlight Sonata, he found her at the end of the recital and asked if she would accept the sole spot for special admission. Lily accepted. It was only the first step toward her bright future. Later, through Rio's meticulous arrangements, she was taken in by a legendary master from the music world as his final disciple. As for me, I had been cast in a movie to play a gifted young pianist with autism, and my agent had arranged for me to study under that same master. But all that happened was a brief encounter with Lily. When I got home that night, Rio cornered me at the door. He looked at me with disgust. Victoria, when will you ever stop? Just because you fall short of Lily in every way, you have to hate her this much. Hate her enough to tear up the chic music she copied for the master with her own hands. You really are a bad seed. I was stunned for a few seconds, and when it sank in, my first instinct was to defend myself. But he cut me off with a wave of his hand. Nothing but lies. I won't believe a single word of your excuses. Amid the rising uproar from the audience, I heard someone scream, "Blood! Look, her dress is covered in blood." The hem of my dress, stained and mottled with blood and dust, my disheveled hair, and my badly swollen ankle. Every detail of my appearance testified to the truth of my words. Leaning on the piano, Lily stumbled to her feet. In her eyes, a bone-deep venom and hatred swirled for a moment before she reverted to her usual fragile innocence. "Miss Victoria, I don't know what you're talking about. There must be some misunderstanding. But it's my turn to perform now. Out of respect for the audience, you shouldn't have just stormed the stage like this." Rio shot up from his seat in the audience, roaring in anger, "Victoria, have you lost your mind?" I paid him no mind, pushed Lily aside, and sat down on the piano bench. Then I began to play Beethoven's Symphony of Fate. In my past life, in order to play this piece authentically for the film and avoid a hand double, I had practiced it diligently for 3 solid months. I was no master, but for a moment like this, it was more than enough. The powerful notes of the piano, mixed with the faint hum of the speakers, echoed beneath the vast, vaulted ceiling of the auditorium. When the music ended, I spun around on the bench to face her, my voice resolute. You ruined my birthday party. You turned my brother against me. You spread lies about me to my family and friends. Those are petty things. I will pay you back for every single one of them in my own way. But having Julian push me down the stairs, trying to break my leg, all just to keep me from appearing on the stage. I paused, watching her face drain of color, and then I scoffed. The piano, that's the one thing you're most proud of. So what's the matter? Don't you even have the confidence to compete against me on the same stage and win? On stage and off, it was chaos. In the end, the teacher in charge of the anniversary showcase led Lily and me off the stage. The host hurried on stage to save the show. The next act was the group dance we had rehearsed. Backstage, I passed by the girls from our dance team. Emily ran over, her voice thick with tears, and grabbed my hands. You're hurt, aren't you? I should have gone with you. I'm fine. I smiled and patted her head, comforting her. Go on, perform. You've been practicing for so long. Give a performance you can be proud of. First place in the anniversary performance came with a $100,000 prize. From the very beginning, this dance was never for me. Watching them walk onto the stage, a weight was finally lifted from my shoulders. Then, as intense pain and exhaustion washed over my body, I closed my eyes, and my consciousness slowly faded to black. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. That night, Leo stormed into my hospital room. You're insane. Victoria, you're a complete madwoman. He wanted to do things by the book, step by step, to place the girl he adores in the glittering spotlight. Like personally nurturing a flower as it buds and blooms, that would have given him a profound sense of satisfaction. But dear brother, why would I ever give you that chance? What now, brother? Your precious White Lotus didn't even finish her piece, and your plot to break my leg has been exposed. She won't be going to her precious Ivy League school anymore. Suddenly, I remembered something else and added, Oh, right. Your accomplice, Julian, is still lying on the floor of the academic building. If you have a moment, don't forget to send him to the hospital. I clutched the blanket and burst out laughing. The laughter pulled at the wound on my ankle, the pain twisting my features. In the reflection in his pupils, I saw what I looked like. Utterly insane. Perhaps I've been mad ever since the moment I died in my past life. A muscle in Leo's jaw twitched, and fury flashed in his eyes for an instant. But when I looked again, his usual cold, superior demeanor had returned. Was it worth it, Victoria? Even with Lily's performance failing, you didn't get to do your dance either. Not only that, but your little psychotic episode was captured perfectly by the cameras on the side. This time, you won't be able to bluff your way out of it with a forged diagnosis. The school has already contacted Father. They're preparing to have you expelled. Ha 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 ha! I roared with laughter. Expelled? Do you really think I care about that? Leo, don't forget, I'm a Blackwood, just like you. It's like Julian said, if this path closes, I have plenty of others. From the very beginning, my goal was singular, to drag that precious White Lotus, Lily, down from her pedestal. That's it. In my past life, she framed me for all those things. This time, I'll just make them all a reality. All the paths she walked in our past life, I will block them, one by one. Our score isn't settled yet, Lily. I caused a huge scene at the school anniversary celebration in front of everyone, and I even hit Julian and Lily. That, along with the previous incidents of me bullying Lily at school, got posted online, causing a huge public outcry. The conflict between the rich girl and the poor girl was always a hot topic, whether it was 10 years ago or today. But this time was different. Because of my crystal-clear accusation on stage, my wretched state, and that furious and wild rendition of fate, a lot of people took my side. Maybe it's not just a case of the rich girl bullying the poor one. Listening to her play, she doesn't seem like that kind of person. LMAO, is the person above a page shill? Since when can you read fortunes from someone's piano playing? No, but seriously, just look at her. Her ankle is swollen like a loaf of bread, and she's covered in blood. Who ends up looking like that when they're the one doing the bullying? Say what you will, but this girl's brand of crazy is both beautiful and about 8 versions ahead of its time. Finally, Emily, and the other girls who danced with me also got online to argue with the commenters. Victoria is nothing like you people say. It was Lily who provoked her first with her nasty cheap shots. The internet was in an uproar. During the days I spent in the hospital, I don't know what Leo told our father. In any case, the day I was discharged and came home, he looked at me, his attitude ice cold. I take my eyes off you for a little while, and you get this out of control. Since your school refuses to let you continue studying there, just go to England. Lay low for a few years. Come back after this whole thing blows over. I wasn't the least bit surprised by his attitude, because he would always choose his pride and joy son over me. In my past life, when the incident at the company merger dinner happened, my father was still alive. It would have been impossible for Leo to pull something that big without him knowing. But right up until I died, he never told me a thing. But none of that mattered anymore. I tugged at the corner of my lip. Fine. You've always wanted to study design. I'll get in touch with some people, help you apply to an art school in London. No, I cut in. I want to study finance. Business. The two of them in front of me froze. When my father looked at me again, there was a new, deeper meaning in his eyes. I quickly got my paperwork to go abroad in order. Julian's injuries were much more serious than mine. He was still in the hospital long after I'd recovered. I heard Lily went to see him and told him it wasn't his fault, that you were just being cruel. Emily came to see me, carrying a huge bouquet of lilies of the valley. A couple of lunatics, a perfect match. They were the ones who tried to break your leg. I mean, seriously, how are you the cruel one? I glanced at the flowers in her hand. These must have been expensive. The bonus was for you guys to keep. Don't worry about it. When everyone heard you were leaving the country, we all pitched in, so I could buy these for you. She pushed the flowers into my hands and took a deep breath, as if steeling herself. Victoria! Yes! I just get this feeling that you know something I don't. Ever since Lily showed up, you've been different. I don't know how to explain it. If that doesn't make sense, just forget I said anything. She leaned around the bouquet to give me a careful hug. Come back soon. We'll still be friends when you get back. The night before I left, my mother and I sat on the balcony as the evening breeze drifted past. She looked at me, hesitating, as if she wanted to say something. I took her hand and looked into her eyes. Mom, don't worry about me. In my previous life, my mother died of an illness. As long as she was alive, no matter how much my father showed his favoritism, Leo never would have dared to try to kill me. At that thought, a sudden chill went through me. Toward the end of my past life, Leo had been practically driven mad by his love for Lily. Could there have been something more to my mother's sudden, acute illness? A chill ran through me at the thought, and I subconsciously tightened my grip on her hand. You have to be careful. Protect yourself. I paused, then added, Be wary of Leo. Victoria, you seem different. My mother stared at me, a dazed look on her face, before sighing. I failed you. You used to be so naive. You believe anything anyone told you. I told you that Julian Boy was no good, and you argued with me, insisting he wasn't the person I thought he was. When I tried to get your father to give you company shares for your birthday, you undermined me, saying you'd be happy with just jewelry and pretty dresses. I was so furious. Back then, I just wished you were a little smarter, a little sharper. But if this change came at some terrible price, I'd rather you had stayed naive forever. What mother in this world doesn't know her own child? In my past life, I was the classic ingenue, a sweet, naive girl who always assumed the best of everyone. That's why Lily could screw me over countless times, and I never brought myself to be truly ruthless with her. And that's why, in the end, I died at my own company's merger gala. That won't happen, Mom. I pressed the corners of my reddening eyes and gave a small laugh. In this dog-eat-dog world, sweet, naive girls just get eaten alive. It's a shame I had to die once to learn that lesson.